Hey, what's up, form? It's Hands, and I'm bringing you a Gears of War 3 game of TDM on Thrashball. And sorry if the game volume is kind of low. I was playing with the full party while I was recording this game, and I didn't want the guys in the party's voices interfering with my commentary. But today I wanted to talk about two weapons that have been getting a lot of discussion since the launch of the beta last week. They are the sawed-off shotgun and the retro lancer. And for this video, I'm actually using these two guns together for the very first time. I have used both of these guns in previous games, but never together. I think the sawed-off shotgun I used twice before this game, and maybe for 2 or 3 minutes, if that. I just hardly had ever used it up to this point in time. And I did use the retro lancer a lot at the launch of the game, but I since ditched it to use the hammer burst just because I liked its overall stopping power, its accuracy, and I felt like it fit better with my playing style. But up until this point, or up into this game, I hadn't learned the right adjustments to handle the sawed-off shotgun and the retro lancer. Although, whenever I was using the hammer burst, I didn't really die too often to the retro lancer. It was really the sawed-off shotgun. And what I was doing is I would equip the Gnasher, I'd try to get as close as I could and blind fire and kill the guy. And if I missed, then the guy with the sawed-off was going to blow me away. And sometimes even if I hit him, we both would die just because the guy didn't even have to really look at me. He just pulled the trigger and we'd both die. So I was getting frustrated. I had a string of games where I was running into guys just using this combination. So I decided I was going to fight fire with fire. And when right here, I didn't expect there to be two guys here. That's why he caught me off guard. I rounded the corner and I hesitated because I saw the guy with his back turned, so I thought I'd have a couple seconds to line up the sights and shoot it, because I still hadn't learned the effective range of the sawed-off yet when I was playing. But for using these weapons together for the first time, and for someone who doesn't have a whole lot of experience, I start off slow, but I turn things around by the end of this match, and it's completely because of how easy it is to use these guns. But you know, after these videos, I've learned how to, or after this video, and after the first week of the beta, I learned how to combat these weapons in TDM. I mean, you don't have to get close to these guys as long as if you can tell that a guy has a hammer burst, or I'm sorry, not a hammer burst, a sawed-off shotgun in his hands. You can almost bait him. You try to have him start to roll in, and you roll back, and he'll pull the trigger and he'll whiff, or he won't, you know, get full damage on you, and he's got about 3 or 4 seconds where he's panicking, trying to reload, and that's a perfect time to close the gap and finish him off. So as long as you keep your distance, if you're using a shotgun and he's using the sawed-off, that's one of the techniques. And also, I've learned that the Gnasher just has a one-hit kill range that is further than the hammer or the sawed-off. So just don't get as too close. That was one of the things I learned. And also, since I use the hammer burst a lot, I didn't get killed by the retro lancer very often, just because the hammer burst is effective at really all ranges. But I mean, it shines at long distances. So if you use that weapon, I mean, you can pick off a lot of people that are using retro lancers. Staying about 20 yards away, beyond that 20-yard range, the retro lancer is essentially ineffective. But so those were my opinions at the close of the first week. So at that point in time, I didn't really have too much of a problem with these weapons after learning how to handle it. But then King of the Hill launched last Monday, and things kind of turned sour, I guess, because because that objective forces everybody into a very small circle. So those are the situations where those two weapons shine. I mean, they're close quarters weapons. So if you want to capture the ring, you got to sit in that small circle. So I remember we were running in a party, and we would run against full teams of guys just exclusively using the sawed-off shotgun and the retro lancer. And man, it was honestly, it was frustrating in the beginning. You try to get in the circle, and you'd have somebody roll in real quickly, and he would just look up, wouldn't even aim, and pull the trigger with the sawed-off. And even if we ended up killing him, it would work in lowering our defenses and clearing people out. So those beginning games were frustrating. Working as a team, we were able to counter stuff like that, but I'm not a fan. I'm not gonna lie that I don't complain at least a little bit when I'm killed by the sawed-off, especially in that game mode. But I wanted to know what your opinion of these weapons are. I mean, do you think they need any adjustments, or do you think they're fine as they are? I mean, do you think they should be limited to certain game modes, or I don't know. I mean, whatever you guys think, I'm curious to hear. I know I've heard like people are interested in nerfing these weapons, and some of the things I've heard would be take it out of the starting loadouts and turn it into a power weapon. And the problem with that is, as where the weapon stands right now, I just don't think it's strong enough to be a power weapon. That you compare it to something like the long shot or the digger. I just don't see it as in the same class as those weapons. But I don't think you should buff it to allow it. And I get lucky right here, like I just completely missed. But I don't think you should buff it to try to fit it in that category, because say if you reduce the reload time, or excuse me, or gave it extra ammo or increased its range, then then I think it'd be too overpowered. And the fact that it has such a wide reticule, and basically as long as the guy's standing in front of you, you can and you're within a certain distance, you'll blow him away in one shot. I think it'd be too powerful as a power weapon. On the flip side, I've heard that you should make tweaks to it as a loadout weapon, and if you did that, I don't know what you would do. I don't think you can increase the reload time, just because it takes I think it takes 4 or 5 seconds just to reload it. And on top of that, you, I don't think you could reduce the damage, because if you did so, it would make it absolutely useless. And I think everybody would use the Nasher. Unless that's what people want, unless they just want it removed from the game. I don't know how you would tweak it to make it balanced. Now for the Retro Lancer, like I said before, just staying out of that 20-yard range, I think you'll be fine. And it does become a problem if you're trying to rush somebody with the Nasher. But again, as long as you recognize that he's using a Retro Lancer, you just don't want to take the direct approach. Try to flank him, try to catch him off guard. And the other assault rifles, the Lancer and the Hammer Burst, are going to beat it at distances any day. So just keep in mind those situations. And there's other ways, I guess, to combat somebody using that. Like, say if somebody's camped up, especially in this area right here in the concession stands, using stuff like using grenades to clear them out of cover, or power weapons. They might not be the most feasible thing to use, and they're not always readily available, but make use of them if somebody's dug in pretty deep using those weapons. I found them to be effective. And one of the things I've heard to tweak the Retro Lancer would be to reduce the magazine size. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. I think it's fine as it is. I don't think it's a very, or at least for me, I don't like using it. I prefer the Hammer Burst. But let me know if you guys think reducing the magazine size would make a difference at all. And those are the biggest things that I've heard, and the things that I wanted to talk about in terms of those weapons. The only other thing I wanted to talk about is knowing when the dedicated servers are up. Just because I don't really have a problem with latency and lag in this game, but when it is bad, it's horrible. The other day we were playing in a game with this guy. It was just him on the team with a group of bots, and his host was horrible. You would shoot a guy point blank with a shotgun, and then 2 seconds later he'd blow up into little bits. Or I remember one instance where I tagged a guy with a grenade. It was my final grenade. I tagged him with it, and it didn't update my inventory that I had 0, and it didn't make any sound. And then literally 2 seconds later it blew up, and it ended up killing me because it still had the grenade in my hand. It was that much lag. So it would be nice to know when the dedicated servers are up, because I want to see how the game performs under those situations. That would be a cool little thing. Other than that, there aren't a whole lot of tweaks that I can think of with the game. Little glitches here and there, but nothing big. But let me know what you guys think about the sawed-off and the Hammer Burst, or sawed-off and the Retro Lancer. You think there need to be any changes to it? And any other concerns that you've had with the beta up to this point in time. And as always, guys, take it easy.